course, my wife is calling me. Bad. Hello. She should know.
All right, we are live. All right, guys, we are live. Just popping out our chat. Craig's going to pop out his chat.
Oh, man, eyes aren't good enough for this.
Make your chat window bigger. All right, welcome everybody to the first quad chat with Craig and Kat. And special welcome to our first guest, Chad Capper. Some know him as the face of FPV. Others call him Crapper. So I think we should address some of these issues and really get to the nitty gritty.
All right, well, I'm ready.
I don't know if you're really as ready as you think you are. So
we'll find out.
hopefully you're prepared. Craig, I'll start with the first one. You can throw in with the next one. Let's start with kind of the most obvious question. Do you even fly?
Yes, I have been flying since 2010. Mini quads early on, but not regularly, not like a lot of the guys. And I definitely don't have the skill of any of the Rotor Riot pilots. But yeah, I fly all the time. And I fly planes, FPV, mini quads. I flew, full-size multi-rotors. I guess full-size, around the 450 size, I think was what most people consider full-size. And then, of course, they got bigger and they got smaller. But I have flight videos on my channel, and I have had definitely gaps in flying where I've gone a whole year without flying. But it doesn't mean that I don't fly or I don't enjoy it. I just have a lot of other things going on. Actually, just not too long ago, 2 days ago, I was flying my Twin Star, and David actually built this when he was staying at my house, and he installed the DJI system on it. But this is my very, well, not my first FPV platform, but one of my first. That's a new version of it. My old one's in the other room. Used to fly 900 megahertz downlink, and it was, and I'd use a 72 megahertz, the old style controller, so I could get more distance. I could get about 2 miles. And yeah, but that was 2010, and then all through flight test. And I mean, there's dozens of flight test videos and a few Rotor Riot videos where I fly. So
I've seen some, for sure. I will start streaming you guys some of his videos while we're talking. So if you see flying, it is all Chad's flying videos. It's not our flying videos. And like you mentioned, you can find them all on his channel. Craig, if you want to throw some questions.
Sure. So Chad, feel about people saying that Rotor Riot sold out to DJI and that all the content now is all DJI based, and that's, and I kind of want to know like where your guys' plans are as far as, with Rotor Riot. Is it going to be mostly DJI based, or are you guys planning on, going back to the same kind of playful form? I've kind of seen in your videos, it seems like that's kind of where you guys are going, but.
Yeah, I mean, DJI brought out the first, what I want to say, or the biggest innovation in the past, 18 months or so. And we are genuinely excited about it. So when they offered to sponsor our episodes, and we were already planning on selling it and featuring it the way that we are, because we truly believe it's going to take FPV to the next level. So to get paid to do what you're already going to do is pretty amazing. I really don't think there's anything that we could have, or anyone we could have got sponsored by, that we wouldn't have had those kinds of comments. yeah, it's going to happen one way or the other. Eventually everybody, sells out, I guess. Did the Chili Peppers sell out?
Yeah.
I mean, I love them then, I love them now, and they have definitely become more commercial, but it's the same talent. So yeah, who cares?
So that's something then that you guys had already planned to promote in the way you're promoting, and it's not so much to do with the kickback you're getting as it is just your actual love and respect for the company and products that they're producing.
Well, it's definitely more structured. I wouldn't say that we would do it exactly the same, but it would definitely have been featured because we do believe, well, I mean, we sell products and we provide support. So it's really hard to get somebody from zero to flying competently with the existing gear. DJI took a lot of those complicated steps out of the equation. Now, the new problem that it presented is there's a lot of people that have a lot of money invested in analog gear. And, we're being respectful to that. We actually run our offering, analog and DJI. We have the CL1 series, and then we have the HD1 series, and we support both fully. And we will until, analog dies off, or maybe it doesn't, but it doesn't matter. We're here to serve the viewer and the customer. So how I always describe it is there's a lot of steps between I'm aware of this and now I've become a competent flyer. And we want to create as few steps as possible to make that happen. And because right now, I mean, I'm not kidding, I would say an average from that walk from here to here is about 3 months, and that's an average. Some people take 6 months because they watch videos, they buy stuff, they'll sit on it for a long time, they finally assemble it, they run into trouble, they don't know who to talk to. It's very, very difficult. So we're trying to shorten that process for everybody, because the one thing that unifies everyone is they love to fly. Not everybody likes to tune. Not everybody likes to. I hate tuning. I despise configuring and tuning. So I can't stand it. And
Fun, right?
It used to be fun. It was fun when I set up my first Arduino as a flight controller. But that was 10 years ago, and it gets old after about year 3.
Oh,
I think it got old after the first month.
One.
What's that, Craig?
You fly Flight 1 because it's easy to set up.
Yeah, definitely. I do fly Betaflight as well, but Flight 1 definitely has the wizards that are just make it so nice.
This one's a Flight 1 quad. Most of my quads are they're so easy to set up, and Falco X is amazing.
I'm a Betaflight person normally, but I'm lucky because I have Chronix who does my tuning. So I do the building, and then he makes me watch him tune, which is never going to go in my head anyway. And then he tunes it for me. So if I didn't have him, I think it'd be a different story, and I'd feel a lot more stuck and trapped also.
No, it gets old after a while. There's a lot of people that love it, but that's fine. You can always go back and tune.
That's true.
I'm now starting to get into Betaflight, and I've been flying for a long time, but I always just, my first quad is Flight 1, and I was like, why go anywhere else? There's no reason to it. And I'm now Betaflight because, I would like to learn it. There's a lot of flight controllers, and there's not a lot of Flight 1 flight controllers, and they're never in stock. So, and I live in
right. We have them in stock right now.
Vamper wants to know, will Rotor Riot come out with a budget motor?
Yes. Well, somewhat. Right now, the Blaster motor is our budget motor, and I know it's more expensive initially. We're going to change the program though. So right now, the Blaster motor, you have them. The Blaster motor is $27 or $26.99, and you can replace it once for free. But what we're going to do is lower the price, and then we're going to have a core charge for the replacement that'll be probably like $8 or $9, and you'll be able to replace it as many times you want. So that's kind of our version of the budget motor, because once you buy into it, then it's going to be cheaper than any other motor. and it's a quality motor. We were actually surprised. We thought, because we had to cut some corners on, you know, getting the price down, we thought that it might be too, I don't want to say fragile, because it's not fragile at all. And even so, a lot of people have beat the crap out of them. I've had people break the shafts, but it's not very common. Everybody crashes differently. That is one thing I've definitely learned after making motors, is there are certain people that break motors certain ways all the time. And I don't know how they do it, because it's not like you think about a crash, but I don't know if it's the way people tense up or the way they try to bail out of a crash, or what it is, but certain people break motors certain ways.
I got a question for you, Chad. Who makes your guys'? I know Vano, that RC in Power, because I know a lot of people ask about that, because, you know, once that motor came out, everyone was saying, oh, it's just a knockoff of another motor, and there was all that crap about that. I'm sure that's some people like to, you know the answer.
We work with actually 3 different motor companies: T-Motor, RC and Power, and Sunny Sky. And depending on what we need out of the motor and price point, and, you know, just a number of factors, that's how we decide which manufacturer we're working with.
And now when you make the blasters less cost, you're not going to cut costs on the quality of the motor, so that we end up actually paying more to replace them, right? It's just going to be that the motor costs less upfront, but now you're paying for your repairs.
Yes, and we do have an announcement around the blaster line in December. It'll be in a couple of weeks, and we're really excited about it. I kind of want to share it, but I can't yet.
Oh, I think you can. I think now's like the perfect time to share some juicy news.
You know, let me think about this. Who would get mad if it's technically my program, it's my baby. So
there you go.
I guess I could share it. So I'll share a little bit of it. We're gonna come out with another KV motor, and part of the program will be, when you crash it, you can swap it for any in the blaster line. So we'll have 2 motors in the line at that point. And then we'll keep expanding it based on what people want. And what I'm excited about is, it was an experiment, and it almost went away twice, because it was really hard. I would say at this point, we probably have made very little money on the blaster line, but that wasn't the goal. The goal was to have a staple that we could build around, that help people stay in the air and get them out flying. Because what I believe is, and it's for me too, one of the things that keeps people from learning or progressing is fear. They're afraid, well, you know, there's a lot of people that can only afford 4 motors, and they go down, they break something, they're out for how long? So we're trying to minimize that cost. So when people crash, how can we get them back up in the air as inexpensively as possible? And that's the whole theory behind it, or the whole mantra behind it.
That's awesome. Metro Drones is asking, is DJI working on any additional FPV equipment?
Even if I did know that, I wouldn't be allowed to divulge it. So I can't really talk about anything they don't make public. You know, we have an NDA, and you know, right now I can say that's my hope. I think it's important for people to, you know, use what is contributing to FPV, because the more people that use it, the more they will innovate it. And that's just anyone. That's not DJI, that's anyone. So yeah, but I believe that, you know, the more people that use it, the more that it gets out there, the more they'll want to support it. That would be, again, any company.
Sorry guys, I'm just reading the chat. It looks like because of how it went live, the scheduled event isn't where the live stream went. So people actually are sitting over there waiting. Craig, have you messaged them to let them know? Oh, gotta love YouTube sometimes, and its friendliness with other companies and
so what happened?
Programs. It's just the way that it launches live from Zoom. It launched onto its own stream and didn't link to the pre-set event that we had already made. So the people that were waiting over there already are kind of still waiting over there, hoping that we're showing up late. So I apologize, guys, and that will not be a hiccup in the future.
So I'm trying to
what
see. I got a bunch of messages. I was trying to see if anybody's.
We have another question for you. Well, we have quite a few questions, but guys, please keep adding your questions in the comments here. Thank you so much for all of you that have popped in. I recognize a lot of you, so it's great to see you supporting us. One of the questions, now I have to find them all again, but one of the ones that I was given was, do you prefer R9 or Crossfire?
Neither.
Neither.
Yeah. I just flew FR Sky, the XM Plus. I really don't fly long range. So, and I've not had any trouble where I fly and how I fly. I don't have any trouble with my link. So I haven't had to upgrade to any long range system. Now, keep in mind, I used to fly long range with my planes and some of my older quads. They weren't mini quads. But that, I don't know. I guess, when you go down long range, that's, you pretty much kiss it goodbye. So I don't know. I'm not into long range. So I just fly FR Sky. Now I fly the DJI controller. I love the DJI system, how it's all integrated, and I get plenty of distance out of it. So, but
I agree. I haven't had an issue with mine either so far. I mean, I definitely don't get to go as far as some of my other friends when I fly with them that have Crossfire and all those other fancy things that I just cannot afford yet. But it's something I think is in my cards for the future, hopefully, because I do want to do some of that beautiful long range forest and hills and mountains stuff that you see on YouTube. But I think you're right. If it's not for you, it's just not for you. And it doesn't matter. If you need it, buy it. And if you don't need it, why waste the money when you can buy another quad?
Well, and yeah, you got to keep in mind from 2010 to probably 2016, I was flying long range. I mean, and typically in planes, but I guess, now with my schedule and everything, I'm just, my flight sessions are often shorter, 30 minutes or so. So having a mini quad and just being able to go out, turn stuff on, fly around, a section of trees or a bando or something is nice. And then I just throw it back in the truck and, and I can get a short flying session in, and I don't have to worry about a lot of setup or anything, or something being, too big.
Yeah.
So
are you going to start posting more flying videos to YouTube to show people that you're actually flying? Because it sounds like you fly a lot and just nobody sees it.
I do. I actually, hold on. I was going to show you this too. This is old, but see these stacks of DVDs? They're each 2 hours long, and I got 3 of them here. Here's 2.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot.
So I used to record every one of my FPV flights, and I had a DVD recorder set up with a battery backup, so I could go out in my backyard with it and run it. And if I lost power, I still had image and still record it. And so like my SD card is always recording, and I record every flight. And if I'm like really inspired by it by any reason, then I'll post it. Like the last one was the fog. That was, I looked outside and the sun was out and the fog was out, and I was like, that's amazing. I have to fly. And I went and flew, and I watched it, and I was just like, and that was the day that really did it for me, because I could, oh yeah, you have it.
Yeah, this one right here, we're going to put it up.
Oh my gosh. Like that was just amazing, because it was everything that I ever wanted FPV to be. It was, I was flying in high definition, crystal clear on a perfect day, and no dropouts, anything. I mean, it was just amazing. And I have a similar type of day flight video posted somewhere on my Facebook page or something, that was from 2010 with my old Twin Star. It was similar kind of fog and day with the sun. But, my image was actually blacking out, when I was flying that time. So it's, yeah, I mean, this is what I get jazzed about. So if I get inspired by something, I'll absolutely share it. But if it's not something particularly inspiring, or I don't think, is, I don't know. You've actually asked, and said, hey, why don't you just post, something? because I go flying. Well, over the summer, it was almost every weekend. I'd fly with a group of local guys, and they're great. We have our own little group. It's 4 of us, and we hang out and we spend more time talking than probably flying. Because then we crash and then we talk for 20 minutes while we're trying to repair something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Metro Drones asked, Chad, we all know the DJI video is awesome. What would you recommend that's somewhat comparable in analog without breaking the bank?
Oh boy. Yeah, that's rough because a lot of the analog gear is very similar. So
Scouts for the money are great.
Oh, you mean for the goggles? The Scouts are the Recons and Scouts are both really good. Now some people don't like them. I know, Kat. I know you don't want to go to a box goggle.
No, and for me, and I think it's for a lot of people, we already tilt our head down. Having that extra weight on the front, you just drop more. And it kind of makes me feel like I'm wearing a cheap set of Walmart drone goggles that you put your phone into, which is what I used, or I got Chronix when he first started flying.
Yeah, they really don't. The problem is you don't look pro. You don't look like you fit in with them. But for me, for whatever reason, I have a really hard time focusing on the outer edges on my HD2s. And I have the Scouts and the Recons, and I can see the whole image perfectly clearly. So I really like those for analog, and they're cheap. You got one's $89 and the other's like $189. And they're both well worth the money, in my opinion, if you don't want to spend a lot of money. I actually prefer them over some of the higher end goggles just because I can see the whole image clearly.
Yeah, I'm the same way. That's why I'm everything.
Corey, sorry, I'm just trying to get through some more questions. We're already 23 minutes in, guys. Corey wants to know, what does Rotor Riot's DJI stock look like after Black Friday? Do you still have stuff in stock?
Well, it's always evolving. I'm ordering. Last week, I placed 3 orders with DJI. So it was like Sunday night, Tuesday, and then again on Wednesday. So I've placed, I don't know how many orders with DJI. It's usually weekly. So it's hard to say because we're just constantly cycling it in.
And I see 2 here. So these 2 tie together, guys. I'm going to lump them. When is the next Rampage? And are you ever going to have a Rampage in Canada?
Ooh, I don't know about Canada. I guess that's up to Drew. That's his area. I'm focused more on the store. Drew has taken over completely all content and events. I know he's brought back up the topic of Rampage and events. But it's really just in the planning stage right now. We didn't do one the subsequent year because we had a really great Rampage, and we knew that if we did it again, we had to be as good or better, and we didn't feel as though we could afford it to do it right. So we thought we'd take a year off. And then the next one, I'm pretty certain we'll do one next year. I have no idea where it'll be.
That's exciting though. What about Quad Camp? That's another one. Is that going to come back? Is that done for good?
No, it will definitely come back. In what form? It's hard to say right now, but last year, in the beginning of this year, we really bit off more than we could chew. Like, we had so many projects and products and events and initiatives. We just got in way over our head. We were really ambitious. Everybody had ideas. Everybody wanted to do stuff. We pretty much just said yes to everything. And then by the end of the year, we were broke. So it really took a little bit to bounce back. So now that we're, stable again, we're being a little more diligent about how we set this stuff up and being very discerning on what we choose to do.
Do you have any durability data on the DJI yet? Because Dark Horse said he tends to destroy a lot of his quads, which I've seen him personally do. Right. This man, he can destroy anything, except I haven't given him the CL1 to try yet. That is in my plan, to let him fly my CL1 and try and break it. Because I think people believe things when they actually try and do it themselves.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely not less durable. If anything, maybe more durable. The lens on the camera is smaller, so it's not as big a target. Some of the cameras, have the bigger lenses and they break easier because there's more surface area to hit. But it's all replaceable. You can replace the lens, you can replace the camera, you can replace the cable to the camera. The air unit itself, which I have one in the other room, is encased in aluminum. So I have not seen anyone destroy an air unit. I don't think, well, I'm sure it's possible if you ran it over or something, but the air unit itself doesn't break. It's usually the connectors or the wires, stuff coming out of it.
I mean, I've seen on Rotor Ride actually that they tried to set one on fire and that didn't really work. So that's good.
Yeah, that was Joshua. That still perplexes me how you can short something that badly and it still work. But sometimes you have the other case where you don't even know what happened and something can stop working. But the nice thing is everything's replaceable and it's not ridiculously expensive.
So I got a question for you, Chad. What happened between Rotor Riot and RDQ? I know you guys were working there for a little bit, and then.
Yeah, so Tyler came in at the beginning of the year and offered to come in as a partner, and we negotiated some. I'll keep it kind of short, but we negotiated some terms and we started moving forward on a what would be a 50-50 partnership, and then we started butting heads, and it really we were both becoming very much less productive. So we renegotiated, and he's like, well, if you want to do it that way, then you need to own more of the company and do it your way. And so we just negotiated it down to a lower percentage to be fair to what he put into it, and then we move forward. Now they were doing our fulfillment, but the intent was always for Rotor Riot to eventually do its own fulfillment. So Race Day Quads was an intermediate step between that, and that was intended regardless if they were half owner or not.
When you guys were in the middle of the negotiations, he was holding your stock and doing all this crazy stuff that we hear from.
Yeah.
people.
Well, okay. So yeah, a lot of that. I mean, when you have a business partner, it's hard. I mean, my wife's been my business partner for over 20 years. So it's hard to be in a partnership no matter what. I've not met anyone in a successful business partnership that has not had very difficult days. So the bottom line is, without going into details, because I think we all do and say things that we would not necessarily do again, or we look back on and say that wasn't a good idea. And I would say that that's the case. It was just things got hot and heated, but we're fine. I just talked to Tyler last night and earlier this morning. I mean, we have different visions for how we want things to move forward, and it's really hard when you have people with hard heads and strong visions. You're gonna have that. And Tyler is an exceptionally talented person, and he knows what he wants. And my only criticism is I wish he would expand his understanding of what's possible. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, his gripe about me is that I'm probably a stubborn ass.
I do have some other questions here. So Troy Naquin, I don't know if I'm saying that right, sorry if it's wrong, had 3 questions for you. The first one is, what, in your opinion, is your biggest and most impactful contribution to the FPV industry?
My biggest contribution, I would say hands down, is inspiration. I think I put a lot of effort into letting people know it's okay to fail and keep moving forward. And that's what I focus on. So exactly how that's done. I mean, I can go back to the flight test days, and I specifically remember the moment that came about. And it was one of the first episodes when Josh Bixler was flying and he crashed, and he's like, "Are we going to put that in?" And I was like, "Yes." They need to see somebody that's really good fail and keep going. And, that, I think that piece is the piece that echoes throughout everything that I've ever worked on or created. And, that's my biggest contribution.
What's your biggest success professionally throughout your professional career?
This might be a weird answer, but I think my biggest success is always other people's success. So whether they like me or not, if they have garnered more success by the projects that we've worked on together, then that's a success for me. I've never been amazing or great at anything. I'm good at a lot of things and not great at anything. But what I am good at is perseverance. So what I see a tremendous amount of are very talented people that get beaten down and quit. So I try to help, I guess, cheerlead and pull them along, because that's the piece that I can do that a lot of people can't. But I can't fly great. I can't draw amazing. I can't, there's a lot of things that I have an interest in, but I can never be great at, but I can be, I think, great at encouraging people.
Is that why you gave a random DJI system away to just some random guy on the internet that people didn't really know?
Jake,
or was there a different story behind that?
Yeah, Jake is not a random guy. Jake is somebody who has been in the community for a long time. And every time I've seen people come at him very aggressively, and he, sometimes he'll lash out. But I think I've probably lashed out worse, but he's really amazing at that. I think it's that piece of trying to encourage people and trying to be, a light in the darkness. And I want to reward stuff like that. And if he can, I don't know. I just felt like, he's busted his ass for a long time. And, it was just something that I wanted to do. And if we had more sales because of it, then great. So
I got a question for you, Chad, that I'm sure a lot of these people who look at Rotor Riot negatively would probably want me to ask you. Did Kevin get fired, and did Tommy get fired through text message, or did he get fired at all, or how did all that go down? Because we've really kind of vaguely got an idea of what happened, but I know a lot of people would be curious to understand how everything kind of happened. I know some of it was with Drew, so you can't speak for other people, but
yeah. Well, okay. So I can say the problem with that is we were in a very difficult position very quickly. And I'd mentioned earlier that we bit off way more than we could chew last year. And we had a lot of projects and just way overextended. And all of that came to a head very quickly. So we had to cut budgets, we had to cut salaries, we had to make a lot of changes very quickly. The short answer is no, nobody was, called up or texted, "You're fired." No, it was, we have to make some really drastic changes, and here are some options. And the problem was none of the options were good for anybody. So I was not directly on the call because Drew is the president, and the pilots and everybody on the show works for Drew. Of course I support and I'm involved, but I'm focused on product development and the show, and we've got some other things going, obviously, like with Red Cat. And so no, the short answer is nobody was harshly fired. It was a very harsh situation that was tough to work through because there was a lot of emotion and a lot of difficult discussions, and it just really sucks because I think they're both extremely talented, and I loved having them on the team. And the idea was that we could find a way to work through everything, but it just I think when stuff that drastically happens, it just gets messy is the is the bottom line.
Well, I think a
Now-
lot of people don't understand with business, there's only so much to go around. And, at the time you guys were kind of limbo with trying to figure out what the future was as far as, I know you guys got that big warehouse and the plan was for that. And then it kind of went, more.
Oh yeah,
towards
we had
and you like things changed very quickly in that time span, and I don't think a lot of people really grasp, how all that progressed.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not even their job to understand that. So I get it. It's tough walking that line between being transparent and being transparent with stuff that people don't really understand because they've not had to live through it. I mean, this is my fourth company, and I've built companies up. I've had many employees and sold companies, and this one, they're all different and unique, and I'm very close usually with the people in each company, but we have our ups and downs, and I typically end up working with very creative people. And you start to see the same cycles. It's so funny. Stonecap Productions was my first real company. It was my production company. And at our peak, we had about 15 employees, and they were all just ridiculously talented. My star cinematographer, I mean, he had 2 films in Sundance, and that's just so rare. And I saw a lot of similarities, which there's things I can work on definitely. But the bottom line is when you're working with highly creative and talented people like Tommy and Kevin, like it's gonna bubble over. Like you're gonna have blowouts. It's never just gonna be smooth sailing. The key is can you make it through those? And Drew and I have had a number of blowouts. But for whatever reason, we've been able to maintain that level of trust that even when we have that, we know that we can work through it. We just have that trust that we're going to work through it. And that's hard. It's just a hard thing.
I think we have to get into probably one of the harder questions because it's coming up in the chat a lot right now, and it was on the list. Mm-hmm. What is actually going on with Red Cat? Do they own you guys yet? Is that
no, not yet
happening?
That's actually not a hard question. That one's a boring question because it's Red Cat's a public company, and they recently became public through a reverse merger, which I don't want to go into that because I just learned about it through this, and it's so it's just a much more lengthy process than we all anticipated, and I mean, I was on the phone with their lawyers today, and we're still on plan as far as what we intend to do, but the time frame is always the flexible piece.
So what are you doing? Are you selling? Because there's so many rumors. Are you selling your whole company to them? Or are you doing kind of what you do with RDQ and doing like a partnership where they're helping you in some aspect? Like, what are you guys actually doing with them?
So we started, and this, I'm just not sure. I want to answer everything, but I'm not sure legally what I'm allowed to say. So I'd rather err on the safe side. So as far as any of the details of the deal, I'll have to wait. But as far as the intent, I can talk about how, we've worked with Red Cat in the past. They took us down to Puerto Rico and we did episodes down there, and it's really, for me, it's about the people. Jeff Thompson, the CEO, he was a pro skater back in the 80s. So he really sees a lot of these cycles that, that I talk about, that I've seen through like paintball and, some of these other kinds of niche hobbies that turn into something bigger. And, but as far as, a lot of the details, they'll come out. I'm not sure exactly what I can talk about and what I can't right now. There is still that letter of intent that was posted as a
That's on their website, right? That's on the Red Cat site? Is
Yeah, or
that
you
the
can
one?
just Google
Okay.
it. I mean, it's public knowledge. Because they're a public company, every move they make, they have to post something. So
So I think a lot of people are curious about what is Red Cat other than the description on their webpage. I think a lot of people are afraid with the black box logging and all that stuff, and the end
yeah,
of it as we know it, and the sky is falling, and all the normal crap that comes along with it.
well, yeah, there's a lot of technologies and opportunities out there. Again, I'm sorry, I'm going to be vague about some of this stuff, but I can just tell you where I'm coming from. I love flight, I love RC, I love mini quads, and I love the mini quad culture. So everything I'm doing, I mean, I chose this as my career path as far as this segment, and I'm really excited about it. So all I can say is whatever I'm doing, it's to preserve and grow that. I know by the lack of information, it's scary. But I've got a history. Like I've got more of a history than most people in this space. So all you have to do is look back to see the trajectory.
Red
Oh, what's
Cat.
that?
By them, do you mean the hobby, the FPV hobby, or the actual Red Cat, the company?
Well, Red Cat they're a technology and a software and information company. So that stuff can be configured in a lot of different ways. And all I really want to say, I guess, is, there's a lot of companies that start out in a direction and then pivot as they go to meet the demands and the needs. But I can tell you that what's driving all of that for me is to preserve and to grow what we've started.
So you're not worried about their regulations that they're putting on the hobby, or
well, they're not putting any regulations. It'll be the FAA or whomever. The thing is you need to have you have to have people representing, call it the hobby, the sport, from all sides. So who else would you want to be involved in these public companies that are going to be in this space? Would you rather me not be involved?
I think it's good to be involved if you have some control, but if you're going along just to get payment and you're not going to fight for the rest of the community, that's when the community is going to turn their back on you. So if you guys go in and you support the community and you fight against that horrible regulations that they could bring out and really just encourage things that benefit everyone, I think we'll support you. But if it goes the other way, you're going to lose a lot, like the few silent majority that you have left, probably.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was an uproar when, cars had to have license plates, so what appears to be evil right now sometimes is just different. I mean, if we really think we're going to get 5 years down the road and there's not going to be any regulation, like really, it's going to happen. So it's a matter of shaping it in a way that, everybody gets along and we can still have fun. I mean, the FPV Freedom Coalition, that's something that I founded because, the only representation at the current point or prior to FPV Freedom Coalition was the AMA, which primarily focused on setting up at a location, like here's a flying field. Well, part of the FPV culture is about traveling around and visiting and moving and stopping and flying. So I wanted to make sure there was some kind of representation out there that preserved that part of the culture. But instead, what happens is people get all up in arms that, oh, you're trying to, put down the AMA, or you're trying to do this or that. No, we're trying to preserve and grow what we are so passionate about and what, I've built so many friends around.
So UFDA has a question for you. I have a feeling that you might know where they're going. The chat is blowing up. My phone is blowing up with this question. Okay. You want to take a guess, or you want us just to throw it at you?
Just throw it at me. Anything.
Can you confirm the thick Earth stuff?
No, I don't even know what that means.
You don't know what it means?
No, is that the flat Earth or?
No, no, this is
No.
something totally different.
I'm so out of the loop. I'm sorry.
If they want to elaborate in the chat, guys, go ahead. We'll tell them. Chad does not have the chat up, so he can't see what you guys are saying. So if you want us to elaborate to Chad, let us know either in the chat
Those
or
guys
already
are
pulling up my
always fun,
phone.
So I'm sure it's something.
They're really nice. I really enjoy that crew. They're really sweet.
Oh yeah. Was it Mike?
It's honestly like I'm getting messages on my phone and there's like 5 people and it's just constantly appearing in the chat right now. Oh, it's awesome.
It's probably their inside joke. They're having a good laugh at it.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're all dying. It's pretty awesome. We're kind of already getting near the end. So guys, if you have questions, make sure you're putting them in now so that we can pull them out. I know one of the last question that was from Troy was, where do you see Rotor Riot going in the next like year, 5 years, 10 years? Like, what is your vision for it? Like, where are you guys going with it?
So that's where I tend to get in trouble with people, because my vision is more a goal. Like, I want to get as many people to get to experience what I've gotten to experience as possible. So how do you do that? Well, there's a 1,000 different ways to do that. But, initially Rotor Riot, the intent was that we're a media company, and originally we were going to be the promoter for all the companies in the space. Well, the problem is there wasn't enough, people didn't have any marketing dollars to spend on it. So we had to support ourselves some way. You can't obviously just go make free content with people all the time. So we started selling products and eventually making our own motors and things like that to support what we do. But then I think people saw that as competition. So then we become, ousted by certain people. And so it's tough because we are a media company, but there's not enough volume of activity and dollars spent in our space to support what we do, or there wasn't till now. DJI definitely has, for them being able to sponsor us and to do what we do, and it already being what we enjoy doing, it's a great fit.
All right, guys, I'm gonna have to leave the chat. It's my daughter's birthday, and I'm missing the party. But
well, tell her we said happy birthday.
See you later, Craig. I'm gonna keep it going because I don't think we're even really close to done. We're getting all kinds of stuff still.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Dark Horse wants to know, what are you doing about the Canadian exposure? He said pilot spotlight, which actually reminds me, I've seen it posted. What happened to the pilot spotlight on the Rotor Riot community? There hasn't been one posted, and people are wondering if you guys are doing one. Well, that's one, but he also wants to know what you're doing about Canadian exposure.
Wait, I don't understand the question. Canadian exposure.
Start with the first one. So what's going on with the Rotor Riot community? Are you still doing the pilot spotlight or community spotlights?
No, I mean, I haven't personally done it in a while. Again, Drew has pretty much fully transitioned into all media and content is on Drew's shoulders at this point. So if he says go, it happens. If he says no, it doesn't. I'm not sure. I would think that we'll probably do another community spotlight. Probably won't be monthly. It is very time intensive to pull all the clips, get everything together. So I think it just becomes a priority kind of thing. But I mean, let him know. Let Drew know that you want to see community spotlight, and I'm sure he'll make it.
He was in the chat for a little bit, so I'm hoping he's still got his ears tuned in, because I haven't seen him posting for a bit now. I think the question about Canada is more, is there going to be a Canadian Rotor Riot division? Because the Canadian FPV is growing rapidly, and I think we need access to more parts realistically. So I'm in Canada, for those of you who don't know. A lot of the people in the chat are actually people I have flown with or fly with that are also Canadian. And there's some gorgeous stuff here. Like, we have everything in really close distance. I mean, we've got the forest, we've got the flats, we've got rainforest. There's so many things across Canada that people can fly. And so are you going to branch Rotor Riot into Canada and make a Canadian Rotor Riot team?
Okay. I can say there's definitely not immediate plans for that. There are plans to reach out to other countries, possibly through China. We're looking at a partnership with a Chinese partner that will allow us to distribute more easily to other countries. Because as you know, shipping from the US to Canada for some reason is just ridiculously expensive.
Yes.
So yes, we are definitely working on that. It's not as easy as people think. It is hard to expand into other countries. So this year was really kind of a step back and say, hey, let's just focus on home and getting our base sorted out so we can then grow back out from that, rather than, we all kind of went out and just got spread really thin. And yeah, we'd rather do fewer things better than a lot of things poorly.
That makes sense. Freakin wants to know if you guys are going to try and dive any more bridges in Canada. And I think you should elaborate a bit on what he's referencing with that question, because not everyone knows about the bridge dive.
Yeah, really? I think everybody knows.
Well, some of us new people, like I found out about it through the community. It's not something I heard or seen myself, right? So I think it depends on when people got into flying.
Yeah. So, to answer his question, no.
No, just flat.
No. Yeah.
Are you, do you want to explain a little bit, just a quick summary of what it was for those that aren't following or didn't know?
Oh, the bridge dive. So that was funny, funny. And I don't mean, haha. The bridge dive was something, it was so weird because we went up to Canada to spend some time with Maddie and we shot some episodes, and we were shooting a trick tutorial. And about 100 feet away, he's like, hey guys, here's part of the bridge that, I've flown at, I've posted videos. It's really cool. And he took us over there, and we were done for the day, and we were packing up cameras, and the guys were just going to fly. And, Drew and Tommy's faces lit up, and they're like, oh, this is amazing. And they start flying, and I don't have goggles on. I don't see where they're flying, what they're doing. I just see all the excitement. So I'm rolling the camera. And then afterwards, we're looking at the footage and we're like, this is amazing footage. This looks great. And I'm like, okay, you guys are genuinely into this moment. This is amazing. I really think we should put this together as an episode. It'll be short, but it'll be great. And keep in mind, a year prior, there were videos of that same bridge, same kinds of flights posted. So it wasn't anything really new. It was a Rotor Riot episode. Well, then the news, keep in mind, before releasing that, I sent it to about a dozen very reputable pilots in the industry saying, hey, what do you guys think of this? Is it too risque? Because we don't fly over the bridge. It's, we're next to the bridge. And everybody's like, no, it's cool. It's amazing video. It's great. Then we release it. And once the news got a hold of it, everybody's attitudes and opinions shifted, because now drones are looked at in a negative light. We're being dangerous and reckless. And that's what it appeared to be, even though, there was still a lot of safety measures prior. But what we learned from that was a few things. Was one, how people's opinions change once it becomes a news story. Two, there was a lot of stuff I thought was implied that wasn't. For instance, like they were never over the bridge. The wind was blowing away from the bridge. It always looks worse from the lens. You've got such a wide angle lens on the drone that everything looks like it's just there. So you see traffic, you see the bridge, you see everything. So you feel, but in reality, if it were to drop and there was no momentum towards traffic or anything like that. But anyhow, you can't explain that to people, especially the news. They just grab a hold of it and they're gonna make
it's whatever's gonna get them the most hits and the most money, right? Same as any business at the end of the day, I think. Who does your editing? We're gonna move to the next one because I think you summarized that good, and I think everyone that has other questions can just go watch it because I'm sure it's still on the internet, like everything else on the internet.
Well, we actually took it down, but they can probably still find the news.
The news or something, yeah. But who does your editing for Rotor-Ride? Is it a person specifically, or is it going between all the members taking turns?
No, it's my son, and that's his workstation right there.
That's really cool. So you got him involved, I'm assuming, early and kind of just kept him in it.
He started editing flight test videos back in like 2012 or something, or 2000. Yeah, he was like 13 years old when he first started editing, and he's 21 now.
Awesome. And he's clearly still liking it. And he does a fabulous job, especially, I don't know if everyone's seen it, but a lot of people in the chat have seen the Dremel quad that you guys just
the
posted.
Dremel drone. Yeah.
That was hilarious and terrifying. And I love the pure excitement that everyone was exuding when they were using it and flying it, right? And then you get Cricket who's just like, it was easy. And everyone else is like, what are you talking about, right?
Right. Yeah, David, who appeared in that episode, he and I are, I mean, he's one of my best friends in the world, literally. Yeah, we had the opportunity to bring him over and, you know, have some fun. And he stayed at my house for like 2 weeks, and we flew the Twin Star. And so anything with David is just amazing. He's one of the best humans on earth.
He seems like a genuine, nice, funny guy.
Yeah, he is.
Indigo Rhino wants to know if there will ever be an option for a Platinum Boost quad box.
What would that include? I don't know.
I guess something even greater than what the highest option is currently.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought it up. Currently, we're doing a double down deal, which you spend $69 and you're going to get double the value. And it's of current electronics. It's an electronics. What we're doing is a one-time thing, and then we'll see how that goes and we can adjust from there. But what we're finding is, because we have so many people involved in QuadBox as far as subscribers, we can get these really great discounts. So I think one of the things that I want to explore, because I'm personally getting more involved in QuadBox since I'm kind of kicked out of Rotor Riot. I'm not really kicked out, but Drew's really got a vision for what he's doing, and I'm giving him a space. So I'm able to spend more time on QuadBox, which was, you know, something I was very excited from the beginning. But yeah, so I guess the bottom line is, let's talk about it, because whatever you guys think would be fun to do, I'm up for doing the legwork to figure out how to make it happen.
So if you guys have ideas you want in the quad boxes, message Chad. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, let me know.
Send him a message.
Ideally, post it in the group would be a conversation.
Yes, unless it's something, you know, about the thickness, and then they want you to go somewhere else with that.
The Earth is round, by the way. Just sort of.
Yeah, I don't think that's where they're going with it, but
I'm pretty staunch on that.
What happened to your intern? Where did that go?
Oh,
Where did he go?
He's in school. He's
So
a high
it's just-
schooler.
He only came for the summer. Are you going to bring him back, or do you guys miss having him around?
Oh no, he was amazing. Yeah, yeah. We'll. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of his channel name. You don't have it pulled up, do you?
Nope.
Because you got to check out his flights. He is as good as probably any of the Rotor Riot pilots. Sorry, guys, but
That's amazing. Is Xhover still involved with QuadBox?
No, I just recently bought them out, and it was tough because I love Daniel to death. But we had partnered on it again. Like I said, this year was the year of kind of like trimming back and simplifying things. And QuadBox, you know, the deal was we were 50-50 partners, and they were doing the fulfillment, we were doing the marketing, but then we got our own warehouse. And one of the problems we had was QuadBox had so many shipments that the post office where Xhover was a very small post office, and we kept having shipping delays and issues, where Orlando is a great hub. So his half of the business, which was more the operations, it didn't make sense for him to maintain, half of the company if we were taking over operations. So I made him an offer and he accepted it. And yeah, and I mean, we're still friends. It's just now we run Quad Box out of the Rotor Riot warehouse.
And is there a reason why they're late again and Novembers haven't gone out to people?
Yes, it's not the same. It's the same issue because it's late, but it's not the same reason. In this particular case, we teamed up with Rebel, and there is I can't give away the item because people don't like it to be spoiled, but there's a particular item that is late. It's just a primary item that goes in the box that's late, and we are all, I mean, I don't typically lose sleep even over a lot of stressful things. This is the first time I've lost sleep in a while over a business issue. So we're definitely working on it. And I would say I'm just going to go all the way out to next Friday and say we will absolutely make sure the boxes get shipped by then. And whatever we can do to make it up, we're not making any money on this box. This November's box, we've already lost money in just trying to make the whole thing work. So, but Rebel has been great about it, and we're working on it. So thanks for asking, and I apologize to anybody that paid for a November box. I'm telling you, I'm trying my hardest to make sure that we're never late. But the reason we're late is because we did something out of the norm. I can't promise that we're never going to do stuff out of the norm, because that's part of the fun of Quad Box. Like, that's the culture of Quad Box, is to just kind of try weird things. So I can't promise that we'll never be late again, but I can promise that we'll do everything we can to not be, aside from making it vanilla. Like, we're not just going to get, try to be a plain Jane box. We're going to always try to push to make it better.
A couple of people are pointing out that maybe some free stickers or battery straps thrown in the box to help, cushion it, or RDQ's suggesting maybe, bite the bullet, ship it twice, keep the customers happy. But I think everything I see about the boxes has always been positive. I have never got one myself yet, but when I ask people what boxes, it is definitely one of the ones that is most recommended as the box that people need to get. So if you have extra money, look into it. But it's definitely something I think people should consider if you want something on the side. Corey's asking, when is the Skyliner HD build video going up?
That's a Drew question. That's a really bad question, or not a bad question. I thought it was up. So I'm just a bad answer of that question, because I already thought it was up. So that shows what I know.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. I'm going to check my phone quickly because I had a few questions. I want to make sure I didn't forget anyone that asked.
Yeah, mine's going crazy right now.
Let's see. This one's done. Just don't want anyone to feel like they didn't get their chance to speak here if they didn't make it to the live stream. Some of your questions, guys,
questions are really
do repeat. Good. I'm glad you feel that way. I want you to have to answer things, but I don't want you to have to, do anything crazy. Is there a plan for a West Coast Rotor Riot?
Like an event or a team? I mean, Zoe's on the West Coast.
True.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Let's see. It looks like the Skyliner HD build up is on the Drib 2 channel. So there you go, guys. You just have to go to the right channel for it.
Okay, so yeah, so Drew put it on his Drib 2 channel. That's what it was. So I was right.
It's nice when you're right, eh? Especially, like I said, when it's on the internet, which is forever.
Yes.
Something I also see a lot is, and I think was more brought up recently, and I think Craig kind of touched on a bit, but we never got the actual, did you cancel a deal with Oh My God and Tommy because of the Steel live, or not, yeah, the Steel live stream?
I would say, okay, yeah. So that's a harder question, because people like to make things, well, people like to make things all about one thing, and that's not how life works. Was it a contributing factor? Yes. But the bottom line is I wanted custom battery, actually, I wanted custom battery pads that looked like this. This is one I actually 3D printed a mold and poured silicone in it manually, and made it. So this is like a one-off, but it was the proof of concept of what I wanted for a battery pad. And some of the, well, here I can just talk about it. So we had, there's a number of things that made it difficult. It has like a beveled edge, and it has the logo centered and, you know, in the cut. So it had a lot of complicated features that was starting to pump up the price too much for Grip and them doing what I wanted to do. So I was already teetering on, was that the right fit? And then, yeah, the live stream pissed me off, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to what I want to say, you know. So my vote was, yeah, just move on and do it the way I wanted to do it.
So when are we getting the pads? Because now everyone's seen it. They all are freaking out that they want it. Drew's saying that you guys are going to have to release them now. RDQ's saying release
so
it.
Monday. Yep.
So it's not going to be in the sale, of course, then, eh?
It's no, well, they're not going to be that expensive. So
okay, that's
I don't
fair.
know. We'll figure some stuff out. They'll probably be about $3, where I think a lot of like premium battery pads are more. How much is Grip? I think that's a little more, or it's around that. So yeah, it's just I'm working on all kinds of things. I love product development. Oh, here, let me show you. I'm so excited about this. So this is a battery that Tattoo sent me a while ago, and I liked it, but I just felt like the timing wasn't quite right. And their hard case battery, it's 1300. And what I did was since the DJI, and this isn't a DJI quad, this is a CL1, because I wanted to go bash it around. It's for testing. And I don't want to go bash around my DJI system. But the idea is you just integrate the connector into your GoPro mount, and then you just plug it in, and you got no wires outside of it. And then you put a battery strap around it, which we're coming out with new battery straps, Kevlar and all that. So
good.
But what we're going to do is they had, I forget exactly how many of these, and I bought them all. And
of course you did.
what we're going to do is we're going to make them, we're going to put together little packages where people can buy like 4 of them, like a set of 4. And maybe I might even personally like print the because this seriously is my project. Like, I love this project. People are sick of hearing, our team is sick of hearing about it already. But so what I'm doing is I'm just printing GoPro mounts with the plug adapter, which is super simple. It's nothing more than that and a hole, and then you cut a hole in your top plate. And if you really don't want to fly a GoPro, you can do something like this. But I want it to be a community project. So rather than, hey, we're going to release this new hard pack battery and I want everybody to use it, it's going to be, we got a set amount of them. Let's sell them to people that like to experiment, try things, give feedback, go out and test the crap out of it, take all that feedback, and then come out with an actual product. So that I'm super excited about. But
now, how durable is that though? Because like, to me, that looks like something that's just going to break right away. Even the battery casing, right? It looks like a plastic that's not as strong as some of the other packs we're flying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's stronger than the current pack. I mean, the current pack has hardly any protection whatsoever. So how I haven't broken one yet, but I haven't pushed it really hard because I've been working more on how it's mounted, you know, and center of gravity. And that's the other thing. You plug this in, once you have your center of gravity set, you plug it in, it's perfect center of gravity every time. You don't have to worry about shifting it or anything. So I'm super excited about it, but I wanted a battery pad that was the right height for this and all of that. But yeah, I don't know. We'll find out, but it'll be worth it. I mean, what we're going to sell these batteries for are going to be probably the same price or lower than a normal battery. So people aren't spending gobs of money, and they get to participate in the program. I think we'll probably have about, I would say 50 sets or so available. You know, it'll consist of like a mount and 4 batteries. And I don't know everything yet. We'll probably roll it out in January.
And I'm just seeing here. I'm reading a couple questions. I'm not going to ask non-productive questions, guys. If it's not, we do have Trappy in the house, just so you know, in the chat. So he's got some questions, but essentially, I think there's just some people's concerns now with that design, which I understand. Like, what type of plastic are you using on it? Because I mean, I run Ovonic. I know Craig does too. Craig's sponsored by Ovonic, and we can bash the heck out of those, and they might dint a little bit, but those Ovonics have never let me down.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I don't know. That's the thing. It's so funny though. Anytime you bring out anything new, you're gonna have, you know, so many people pointing out the problems. And I'm just more pragmatic. I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what plastic it is. I don't care. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna fly it and I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna use that as feedback.
Have you tried to break it yet at all? Like, have you tried to actually send it and see if how strong and stable and sturdy it is? And I mean, obviously it's not going to eject the same way, which is fantastic because that's a problem. But what about when we land on the top, and is it going to be heavier so it's going to flip more and have a higher chance of landing?
We just got them. So no, we haven't gotten that far yet, but we'll find out. I mean, that's the great thing. Like, so people buy a set of batteries and we get to go have fun testing stuff out. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, I just can't. Here's the thing. I'll keep 10 of them just for myself because I love them already. I've babied it so far because I only had one to start with, so I didn't want to break it until we got the whole shipment. So now I have more, but I haven't had a chance to fly since I got them back home. But yeah, I guess we'll find out. I have no idea.
So this question, it's one I've asked you before.
Mm-hmm.
When the heck are you going to have more female inclusive things in your store? I've been asking since like July, so I think it's fair to bring it up again. So
yes, but the other day when I posted the hoodie stuff, I took your feedback and we're working on it.
You've said you're working on it since July. Come on, there's so many women now in the hobby. You have two finally on your crew. You got to support the ladies too.
To be fair, we're just releasing our first, again, like I said, this year we cut back on so much. So we're releasing our first kind of like real piece of apparel, a hoodie, like next week. So, and it's unisex, so you can wear it.
Good. Well, we'll see. I want to see it before I support it and say it's good, but I'm hoping it's going to be as good as all the other stuff I've seen. And I mean, even I recently did some Christmas shopping because you had this sale on. So Chronix is getting some stuff, some apparel, because it just makes sense, right? When it's on sale, buy it.
Nice. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's showing up good.
So
he's probably going to kill you because he's still in this chat.
I will spill all the beans.
What do you know the weight of the 1300 mAh 4S? It's probably not off the top of your head, or do you? Oh.
No, I don't know it off the top of my head. I know that it was, I don't remember exactly, 10 grams heavier than a similar battery, because you're losing the cables, but you're gaining the case. Fair.
Now, aren't you worried about the cables? Like the contact points, and I'm just reading here the other.
Is it Troy?
No, it's not. Not that I see, no.
No, I don't know. Again, I think people are used to somebody revealing something, saying, hey, look at my new product, buy it. I'm not. I'm saying, here's something that's a starting point. Let's go out and bash this, break it, find all the problems with it, and then make it better.
That's fair. I definitely think that's a good way to look at it. Guys, we will take 2 more questions. So pop your questions in here. I don't see any above here, so I don't think I missed anyone. I'm just looking to see while they slowly type here. Hadley's asking if you're going to be able to replace the XT60s on that.
No, I doubt it. I think it's actually built into the plastic. I think you mean this end or the receiving end?
He didn't specify.
On the quad, it's just the standard pigtail. So that's what I love about this. Outside of this, there's no special pieces that can't be 3D printed.
Fair. Does Vortex fly DJI or analog? I haven't seen Vortex in any of your stuff for a long time, actually. So I think that's a good question.
No, he flies both. It's hard. I know he definitely flies both. I'm not sure if he's switched over to digital exclusively. Drew has. Drew is pretty much. I'm not sure the last time he flew analog.
I feel like this question is a trap because I know
Probably.
who it's coming from. When are the ESCs with the screw down sockets coming out?
Actually, I just saw that. I was digging past some of my electronics and I saw it. I don't know. Again, that's another experiment. I see now I have more time to play with all of this stuff because I really have stepped away from the media side of Rotor Riot. So I'm having a blast dealing with manufacturers and doing product development because that's what I really, really love. I love designing and developing and collaborating on projects. And I think while obviously I'm going to be involved in Rotor Riot, I think Quadbox is going to be more of my sandbox right now. So
fair. There's quite a few comments saying bring Vortex back and that people want to see more of him. So yeah, pass that on.
Yes, actually, we have some plans. You'll definitely see more Vortex.
Good. I think that's an important one. Okay, guys, one last question, and then we're going to start wrapping it up here. I have to give them a second because of the lag, good old internet. Will Rotor Riot host a hub for 3D printing files for their frames?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, we'll make all of our, I can't speak for like Drew's designs, but the company designs like CL1, HD1, we'll make all that stuff available for people to cut on their own or share or modify. Yeah, I'm very much about that.
Well, thank you for being the first guest. Unfortunately, Craig had to leave, as some of you already saw, but the rest of you will catch up watching later. It was just not something we considered when we planned the show. And we're very excited that you guys all came out and have been watching it. Thank you so much. I think it's amazing. I'm just pulling up here. If you go to our Facebook page, you will find anyone that has agreed to come on our show in the future is listed as our scheduling. I'm pretty sure that Zoe is our next guest next week. We're still rotating a bit, so bear with us. It might change, but we will announce probably on Friday the confirmed guest for next week so that you guys can start sending us more questions. If you post them online, we will read them and save them as I did today. You can message us on the phone. You can go in the chat, but make sure you're reaching out with your questions because I don't think you get many opportunities to talk to a lot of these guys here.
Well, Kat, I want to thank you and Craig for doing this. I think whether I was on or not, I think we need more stuff like this. I love that it's live. I like that. Yeah, I just like that it's live. It's a little more exciting.
I think there's too much censorship and dishonesty with editing, and it's just sometimes we just got to do it live so people can really see people's responses, the genuine sides.
Right. No, I'm very much about that. And I don't think it's necessarily dishonesty. It's just, if you are editing or it does change. But I just think this has a need. I think this is going to fill a need that a lot of people will enjoy. And you do a great job. And
thank you.
Really, yeah, seriously. So thank you for having me on. I'm honored to be the first.
Well, someone had to do it. So thank you for having the balls to get out here and answer these questions, guys. Thank you, everyone. We're going to shut it down here. Please, every week, other than, of course, Christmas and New Year's, we will be here. So stay tuned. If it's a show you want to be on, send us a message. We'll see what we can do in the future. But otherwise, have a good night. Pay it forward. I'm always going to end it with a pay it forward. Help someone else in the community, get other people into the hobby. The more people we have flying, the stronger we are against those regulations that you guys are so worried about. So get more people in the community and we have a stronger defense. But have a good one, guys. Have the night you want to have.
thank you, everyone. And Jake asked me to say thick earth.
Oh no, you just ended with a bang. Have a good night, guys.